Howdy, and welcome to the Choose a Happy Day show, a podcast for women who want to up-level their life, manifest those dreams, and just live happier. If you have vision boards, love energy work, are into psychics, and feel you are meant for something more in this life, then this show is for you. Hi, I'm Lorraine Toth, an award-winning filmmaker, author, Reiki master, photographer, and creative genius who also loves to vision board. And I am here to bring you all of the tips and tricks to help you up-level your life. Now let's go and hop on that happy train.
All right, so welcome back to the Choose a Happy Day show. Today I have a very special guest, Stephanie Beams with Headstone & Co. So everyone say hello to Stephanie.
Hi, everyone.
And Stephanie drove how long to
Just
get here?
like an hour and 45. Wasn't bad.
That's amazing.
Up to beautiful fall weather. The leaves, it was a lovely drive.
A lovely drive. And you look like fall,
Thank you.
actually.
If fall was an outfit, I've got it.
Yes, she does. She's ESL or basic B, right?
That's it. I'm right on trend here.
So the reason I brought you in is I met you in July at the Crystal Connection Holistic Fair, and I was like, wow, I just never even knew a business like yours existed. And then my mentor, Deborah Hamlin, hi Deborah,
Hi.
she said she hired you to redesign a room in her house. So I was like, well, I need you here, and I have this room that I wanted redesigned. So before we started this today, you came to my house.
Yep.
And
A little
she
exploratory fun.
and she took notes. She didn't tell me anything, so it's going to be like a grand reveal here for you guys.
Yeah.
So, but I have a list of questions.
Yeah.
But first of all, if you want to just give them like a background of what you do and what your business is.
Sure. So I am an interior designer, but I do it based upon wellness. So there's actually a science called neuroaesthetics, which is how your brain perceives beauty. And there's certain things that are inherent in every human being that you actually need in your life in order to feel good. Basic, very basic. And the way it starts out with is we as humans, our brains process 11 million bits of information per second.
Wow.
Then it puts it into two buckets,
Okay.
pleasure or survival.
Oh.
And once it goes from there, then either you're survival mode or you're making endorphins to be happy because you're in pleasure mode. And if your house contributes to one of those buckets, then the whole slew of the train keeps on going.
Oh.
And so because you're home, you're seeing all the things around you, it's a huge effect on your well-being. So not everybody realizes that. And it's really important. It's not about what's current, what's on trend. It's not about any of that. It's about how you feel when you're in your space.
Oh, okay. And have you seen like transformations in doing this?
Yeah. And some people don't even realize that they had an issue. They're like, oh, I just need to redo this room because I need a change, or I need a bathroom done because I have a leak.
Okay.
But once they realize and they look back and see the after piece of it, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't realize how much this was bothering me, overall as an umbrella to everything. So many times I've had people come back and just say like, it feels so good in here now. Like that, then that's the comment I want.
Yeah. Oh, and how long have you been doing this?
Officially, just like 2 years, but ultimately my whole life.
Yes.
I've always been redesigning things from when I lived at home with my parents to the houses, the apartments that I've lived in. And every time that I even had friends come over, they'd be like, Steph, it feels so good in here. So I would do friends' houses and I figured, why am I keeping this to myself?
Yes.
Like, this is a thing.
We do.
The world needs this.
We do. Absolutely. And that's kind of, just to give them a background, like you came to my house, this room in my house, I have a 4-bedroom house, and I kept it shut for like a year. And I was like, the first thing you asked me was, how do you want to feel, right? About the room? Is that always the first question?
Yeah.
And
because that really sets the stage for what's happening. If you want to go into a room, you want to feel calm, that's one way. If you want to feel energized, that's a different way.
Okay.
So really you want to know how someone wants to feel when they're there. And then that can sort of filter in and make whole the picture.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, perfect. All right. So now that we know who you are and what you do, I want to dive into my questions.
Okay.
So I have questions for her, of course.
Yep.
My first question was home design and how can that actually increase your happiness and spirit?
So going back to kind of what I said, the ultimate thing is if you're out and you're doing meditation and you're going to yoga and you're doing acupuncture and you're going and you eat healthy and you do exercise and you do all these things, but when you come home, you don't feel good at home. You're undoing all the things that you did to de-stress. So your stress levels back up and you're looking around, you have messes, you don't like the color of it. It could be something so little as a piece of furniture is in the wrong spot. Like so simple. Like it really could be that simple. But it also could not be that simple. So there's many levels of helping with that.
Okay. And then you've seen actual happiness increase when you change out a person's room?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like it's so, for me, I love to see when everything's all done and in its place. Even I've had people's kids, they're like, we love it in this room now. And it's like, kids are already intuitive on their own.
They are.
And first, like for two children to realize like the room felt so much more happy and so much more like vibrant and easy to live in, like the energy shifted.
I love that. Yeah. And as the Reiki master now, I can totally relate on the whole energy piece.
Yeah.
So yes, I can't wait for this room that she's going
to be incredible.
And we'll talk about that in a second. But is there a way a room can have sadness in it and affect your happiness and well-being? And just talk about rooms and that you don't go into because of memories, which kind of like that was my room.
Sure.
We just went in, you know.
Sure. So rooms can take on all sorts of energy and they can hold on to energy because the way that you have this certain impression of what happened in the room or just a memory that it brings up for you. And sometimes it just doesn't feel good in there and you can't put a finger on why. So you have to be able to switch gears. And sometimes you got to start with a clean slate.
Yes.
But it also could be just cluttered and overwhelmed. So you want to take everything out and go through it methodically. And that's like you're letting go. And once you let go, and then you can come back in and kind of give the room a new energy, a new life. And it's a lot of times it's like a restart for people when they really do like a full room reno.
Oh, and like totally gut it. Do they have to throw away the things for it to work? To be like
some things.
Yeah,
some things. Not everything, because some things could mean more to them than a bad memory.
Okay.
But sometimes you have to kind of go through and be like looking at the room, what means something to me? What doesn't mean something to me? So is this important in what I'm doing now? Or is it something I'm done with? Because sometimes the throwing out of things is makes it easier for the process for someone to start fresh.
Oh, okay.
But it's not necessary.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't need to throw away everything in the room.
Not everything.
Not everything. There's a lot of stuff in the room. We took before videos, which we will be on YouTube, so you guys can see. And I can't wait for the after.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
Oh. So my next question was, talk about every space should reflect the way you want it to feel when you're there.
Yeah. So when you're in a room and you walk in and let's say it's your office, so you need to be productive in your office. You need to have a lot of light. You need to be able to have less distractions. So that's going to be decorated differently and have a totally different energy than your living room, where maybe you want to be able to play games and have friends over and socialize. I just recently did, actually it was the winner. I did a raffle at the last holistic fair for a 1-hour consultation. And so this girl, the girl that won, I'm not going to say any names, she has this dining room in a house that they were, I don't know whether the house got handed down to them, but it was a family home.
Yes.
And so it had accumulated everyone's furniture that had lived in it for all these years. And so they had some really beautiful antiques, but it also was just like so much stuff.
Yes.
And they lacked some storage. And so she said the way that their house was laid out, when they walked in, their dining room was like the first drop zone of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And so the dining room table became, coats, shoes, bags, the dining room was like that.
Yes.
And she could never want to invite someone over because they can't, they'd have to clean the dining room for like, a day or whatever to get someone to come over and have dinner or whatever. So basically what I did is I did it remotely. And so she sent me videos of the space. And we had probably about a half-hour phone conversation about what she wanted the room to feel like, what she envisioned, what she didn't like about the room, favorite colors. She sent me some pictures of the rooms adjoining so that I knew what their direction was. And I presented to her a plan, a color story. And then after looking at everything, it was such a simple change. Like sometimes people that have an older home, like 1800s, there's so many doors in those homes.
Yes.
There's so many doors. And so a lot of times people will cover the door up because they're like, well, I don't need to get into this room two ways. Like, it's so silly.
Right.
So they'll either shut the door off from one side or furniture goes in front of it. And so I don't know what was in the other room, but she said, we don't ever use that door. It's covered off, but they sort of still had it looking from the one side that you would use it. So I suggested, like, such a simple change to move this hutch over in front of the door. If you're not using it, then you're going to gain all this more walking space. And she was like, oh my gosh, like, I never thought of that. What a simple change that would create a more of a flow to get throughout the room. So, and I was able to just do that via like some videos and some photos that she sent me. And then she's going to, when she's ready, she'll either contact me back for further, guidance, or she's going to take the information I gave her and run.
See, all right, so they can contact you and you can do it remote.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
All right, California, wherever. And my next question was, when depression hits, are there ways to get into a happier space by rearranging or redecorating? Like, is that a thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Again, it goes back to, is it because of the room or is it because of your outside world that's creating the problem? But sometimes you need to be able to go somewhere to get away from those feelings. So you need to create a space that brings happy thoughts to you. So whether it's bringing in more elements from nature, because that is something that we as a society have gotten so far away from. So going back to the neuroaesthetics that I was talking about before, there's certain things that everybody needs to feel safe and feel good in their space. So you need lighting, but you don't need direct lighting that's blaring, that's so bright, it's in your face, it's uncomfortable. Imagine the lighting that you would see coming through like a forest trees. Dappled lighting, like very indirect. And that's what we as humans, that makes us feel more calm, more relaxed. Being around plants. So that's a term that a lot of people throw around now. It's called biophilia.
Okay.
And it's like the love of plants and nature. And basically that is another piece of this neuroaesthetics, is that it's so important to connect to your outside world.
Okay.
So you don't have a green thumb, then you can do some fake plants, but ultimately real plants is better if you can do it. Or just bringing in even like photos. So you're a photographer. If you went out and you spent some time in nature, there are things called fractal patterns. I don't know if you've heard of that term before. And so fractal patterns are patterns that repeat within itself over and over again, smaller, bigger. The way you look at it, the pattern's always the same. So fern, like everyone can think of what a fern looks like. Yeah. So if you went and you took a beautiful photograph of a fern and you blew it up on your wall, even just looking at that helps your body go, oh, I'm safe, I'm okay. Like I'm outdoors, I have comfort around me, because our brains have not changed since we got them as humans. They're the same brain that we had cave people, like we're the same brain. And so that brain says, well, I'm comfortable when I can be enclosed in my space, but when I look out in the world, so it's good to have like a space of refuge and a space that you can look out.
Oh, okay.
So prospect and refuge. So these are important things to anyone. They don't even know that they need it.
Okay.
But it's what we and our brains need without us even knowing about it.
So maybe someone listening can be like, do I have any plants?
Right. Simple.
In this room.
Simple. Or natural lighting. Like, do I always keep the blinds closed? Like a simple act of opening up the curtains could really just be like, thank God, like, I can breathe again.
I breathe. I'm calm.
Yeah. Open the window and just get a little fresh air going.
Okay.
Even scents. Scents are so important.
Scents are very important.
So if you have a scent that creates joy in your life, then if you're having a moment, like take a minute, light your incense, light your candle, and just
go light your apple pie,
whatever
macchiato,
whatever it is for you.
Okay, perfect. There we go. All right. My next question was, if you can talk about clutter and mindset, like how does that affect people?
It's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Not good.
It's really not good. So if you're looking around your home and you're seeing surfaces that are covered everywhere, it feels like a lot to look at. And like I said, our brains are processing all this emotion, right? That 11 million bits of information.
Yeah.
Well, looking at clutter is going to go in the survival mode. So then you're going to create more stress hormones and higher blood pressure and, anger.
Yeah.
Just simply, so by taking the clutter out of your home or at least putting it somewhere you can't visibly see it, if you can't get around it, or if some people like it.
Okay.
Like it makes them feel comfortable. It makes them feel it's a thing.
Yeah.
But if it's organized clutter, that's sort of your own thing.
That's not a hoarder.
No.
Okay.
Hoarder would be that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. We don't go into that.
We don't have time for that.
Yeah. Not today. All right. So that's the thing. So
So clutter makes your mind feel cluttered.
Okay.
And if you can't quiet your mind, then you can't quiet yourself from being in that place that you're in.
Oh, okay. So they can look around.
See.
Like, do you have them, like a client who's far away, would you have them go in the room and see how they feel? Like, are they breathing heavy and shallow?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So you're going to say, how do you feel when you're in here? Like, just you kind of shared with me how you were feeling in the room that you're wanting to do over. And it's amazing because sometimes when you go to put a word to the feeling, you have a hard time.
Yes.
So you have to kind of think about it. How does it make me feel? Why am I feeling this way? Is it because of the room? Is it because of memory? And so it is a process of releasing of emotions. So that is its own level of therapy.
Oh, it is. Yeah. When you asked me, I was like, wow, I hadn't really thought about this.
It can be very emotional.
Yeah. It's like, wow. Yeah. To put, like you said, putting that word to the room was something I hadn't even thought of.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh shit, I do need to do something with this room. Clearly these are not good words that I'm using, right? Like, yeah. Okay, cool. We're still going to get into that. Can't wait to see what she wrote down. I have no idea what she wrote down. All right. My next couple questions were, are there ways that listeners at home can assess the room to make it feel happier? So like a key takeaway moment, I guess, for someone listening.
Key takeaway moment is assess how you feel when you're in there. And then think about, sometimes a lot of times that made a lot of sense. A lot of times I will start a client with almost like a mini meditation. So sit here, close your eyes. Okay. How do you feel when you're in this room? So take yourself back to the room. Do you want to go there right now? Do you want to do this?
Let's do this.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Let's do it. Here we go.
Oprah, Dr. Phil on me. She's okay.
We're going for it. So get ready.
All right. Let's do this. I'm doing her walker, guys. Okay. So I'm going to close my eyes.
Close your eyes.
All right.
And take a minute to sink in, calm down, and go to the place where you go when you meditate in your happy place.
Okay.
Take yourself there and tell me the words that are feeling for you when you're there.
Calm, serene, and it's more like water and sunshine and just beauty,
right?
And nature, I guess.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Now tell me the words that you feel when you're in the room that you were trying to redo.
Closed off, like sad and depressed and kind of like dark, like a rain cloud. There's definitely no sun. Yeah.
So see how the two differ?
Very much. Okay, my eyes are open now, guys. Welcome to my TED Talk.
Yeah, come on back. So that's kind of how I start with a client, because it really does take them into a moment to then realize this is not what I have.
Yeah.
This is not what I have. I need to create this. And so that's sort of the first place to start is where are you now in here and where do you want to go?
Okay. So it's self-awareness.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yep. Begin with the end in mind.
I love that. Okay, guys. So there's your key takeaway. You're welcome. All right. So do colors matter for happiness, and smells and tastes and textures? Like someone wants a black room, like a black bathroom. Does that make you depressed, or like colors don't matter?
Not at all. Colors do matter. And I'm sure everyone has heard about the colors that make you want to eat more and colors that make you sad. And so yes, color psychology is totally a thing.
Okay.
But in the end, it does come down to personal awareness of color. So you may love dark colors and they may make you feel homey. But if you think about it, what colors are in like a cave?
Oh yeah. Dark.
It's dark.
Black.
Because it makes you feel like you're protected on all sides. It brings your sides in. Okay. So it makes sense when you're saying that, because that goes back to your mammalian brain, like your ancient brain.
Okay.
So yes, colors do matter,
Mhm.
but it's more of a personal connection to a color. And the same thing with textures and smells.
Okay.
I mean, if I smell lilies, I go, funeral, like, gotta get out of
Oh,
here.
really?
Like, that's for me is
That's what you
lilies.
think.
So,
Okay.
but somebody else might be like, lilies are my favorite flower. I love them. I want them all over.
Yeah.
So for me, that's a personal like experience, you
Yeah.
know? So anything is personal. Yes, there are overarching rules to
Uh-huh.
certain things, but in the end, it's always about how you, because you've had
Okay.
your own emotional attachment to whatever color or taste or smell.
Okay.
So
So if they want a black bathroom, by all means, go
do it.
for it, right?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely do it.
All right.
Don't
that's
worry
good to
about
know.
what color it is.
Okay,
As
good.
long as you like it, you go for it.
Okay, good. Well, yeah, because as I was telling you, my couch, when I had custom made, I wanted purple. And I've been told that's more of like a spiritual regal color.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. That's definitely a color that has always been like royalty.
Ah, yeah.
But for you, that could just be like, that's my color. Like I love all purple flowers. I love purple. And that it doesn't really matter. But your emotional attachment does coordinate with like an overarching.
Yes.
So sometimes they overlap, sometimes they're completely opposite.
Okay.
Like
Nice.
Yellow, right? Yellow is supposed to be happy, but some people, oh, it's so jarring. Like I hate yellow. Like, okay, well, why? Why do you hate yellow? Well, it looks like the color in my classroom in school, and I didn't like school. So sometimes they could take something that's so happy, but their perception of it is completely different because of experience.
Okay, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so think about the colors, guys.
Yep.
All right, and then a key takeaway piece of advice for living a happier and more balanced life.
If you don't feel good in your home, how can you feel good in the world?
Yeah.
Your home is where you spend the most time. So if every time you put your best self out there in the world, you're coming home and you're being depleted of all your energy because you don't like the color, you don't like the space, it feels closed off, like anything that you spend your most time there. So how can you go out and put your best self out in the world if you are drained? So
is it a thing to where they just hate their house in general? Should they move, or do they go room by room and hire you?
I mean, both, right?
Okay.
Both are an option. Sometimes something so tragic has happened in a house and someone just, even if the room is different, they just can't get past it. And so in that case, you may want to move because that's like a Band-Aid, you're taking the Band-Aid off and you're starting a fresh life. So that could be that, but sometimes it's just, it needs a simple energy shift. Like even in houses that are, a lot of times people do, if it's a family house, they get left at home and now they're like, oof. So it's a whole therapeutic process of going through what's here, what's mine. I feel bad throwing it out because so then I always say with something like that, when you have to go through all of this stuff, it's an emotional experience. So take your time, do it on your own, and then do something good with the stuff that you're not keeping.
Oh, yeah, that's
so donate it, bring it to Goodwill, put it for free on your sidewalk. Somebody else will want your things. They will. It's just inherent that, what is it? Another man's trash is another man's treasure. Like that's a thing, So it could bring someone else joy and it doesn't bring you joy anymore. So just release it.
Okay. That's perfect. And then sage too, maybe like sage or Palo Santo.
Yes, definitely whatever's in your wheelhouse is what you should do. So if sage is in your wheelhouse and that is your cleansing method, then do it. Okay. Sometimes people will do a prayer, a meditation, whatever mode there are. And that's a whole different conversation. There are all sorts of spiritual clearing techniques to do. So it's more a personal thing at that point, unless you're versed in those items.
Yes.
Just go in and set an intention, right? So where intention goes is where the energy flows. So put your intention into the room. I need this room to fulfill me. I need to be rejuvenated in here. Let's start fresh. And that's when you start. Okay. And just, be grateful. Be grateful you have a room to do that in.
Yeah. And that's going to be my story. Okay. So can we now dive into whatever you wrote in your notebook? So I'm going to let you take over.
All right. So when we met, which one am I looking at?
Yeah, there you go. You look at yours.
Okay. So when we met at the fair, I had these out. Hopefully you guys could see them here. And for those just listening, it's this beautiful peacock wallpaper and this really deep teal velvet fabric. And so when she saw these in my booth, she couldn't believe just the beauty of them. They overtook her with emotion, which tells me she has a true connection to those colors.
Yes.
So she wanted me to bring those to the room because that's where her brain went. So I'm following.
Yes.
Because I have to also almost be like a psychologist and a therapist with you. I have to figure out what's in your brain and put it out. So this is like a whole process.
Yeah, it did kind of feel psychologist, guys.
Yeah, a little bit it is, but not in the scary way.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So we're in this room, and I think we have popcorn ceiling to deal with, which we want to try to deal with as best we can. So the idea that I didn't share with you is that we fabric it like not a circus tent, but draped, like you're going to be in a tent.
Yes.
Draping fabric from the center of the ceiling. And then you won't have to worry about the popcorn under there. You can just cover it up, and it is going to be like you're inside of this beautiful spiritual tent.
Oh, I love that idea. Wow. Okay. Love it.
Okay. I was like, I couldn't wait to tell you how that felt.
That's a good idea, because I was like, I don't want to de-popcorn this ceiling.
Yeah. And sometimes, I mean, we can talk like a smidge about budget. Sometimes it's more of an aesthetic thing versus like, I need to take the walls down. So, and that's fine, because it doesn't always have to be like this most monstrous project. Like it can be manageable, doable within a lower budget. So that is an important thing to talk about, is that budgets can come in all sizes, and they're all doable.
Yes. Yeah. And in my room, what is the measurements? You took measurements just so we can give them like a reference point. So it's one room.
So you're one room, and you're like
talking to the mic.
You're one room, and you're like 161 inches on one side. It's just almost the same. It's like 160 by 90.
So what is that in feet for the people like me?
Oh, I need a phone with a calculator. Sorry, math is like...
Is it like a 12 by 12 room?
Yeah, roughly there. Yeah, just give them that. It is a general square.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. In a Cape Cod style
In a Cape Cod. So we have a little nook coming out with a cute little window. So we have 2 windows to deal with. And some things that you told me is that you want a wall of books, right?
Yes.
And you want to have a chaise lounge in there that you can relax and be in meditative state. And we also talked about water.
Yes, the water element.
So what I was explaining to you at the house is water is one of the biggest sounds that will take out any other outside sounds. So if there's a car driving by, the water will drown it out. If there's birds, you probably may not even hear that, because water, number one, your body hears that first, and it drowns everything else out. So to add a water element will be perfect in there.
So are we just building a full
like have like a spa right in there?
Like what are we?
I think that I'm going to look into some different fountains for you, but I have something in mind, but really more natural. Like I want you to feel like you're enveloped in there. So you're going to walk in there, and it's going to feel more closed. And more tight, but in a good way, like a very comfortable and cozy.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's so amazing. Okay. All right. And any other notes that you took?
We are going to put a rug in there, because right now you just have wood floor, and that can create a lot of echoing. So we want to bring in so that there's not that empty feeling. So we're going to make it a little bit more lush with different fabrics. We're going to do different drapery with a little pooling on the floor. So you're really going to feel like you're inside of this like magical tent.
Wow. I love that.
That is what I'm thinking.
Yes. Okay. All right. So that's the makeover. And to give you guys an idea, it's like this red cherry wood floor, which is shiny and
super glaring. Yeah. Very shiny.
Sorry. And I painted on the walls. So we're going to like whatever.
Yeah, we're gonna do some fresh paint on the walls, and we're gonna look into some more peacock options just to see. But thinking color palette, like thinking of a peacock, definitely some turquoise, teals, browns, really rusty muted golds, some purple in there. Definitely all very earthy and definitely dark colors.
Okay, which is the opposite of the baby blue that's in there now, and red and yellow, and just like
it's a lot going on in there right now.
It's a lot, and you guys will see in the videos. Like I actually painted on the walls,
which they're so cute. There was a time for that.
There was a time. The time is no longer.
Right, and so, now we're on a fresh start, and that's what it's going to be.
Yes, and I told her on all of my vision boards, I have a wall of books. Like it's my thing. I just want a wall of books.
Yeah, so that's going to be in there. We're going to have a wall of books of some sort, and then we're going to also bring in certain things that are going to help raise the vibration in there. We'll bring in some crystals that are more intuitive to what you need for them in the room, and that's something we can do a different time.
Oh, I love it. And yes, then I joked with her about the move that bus.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And she's like, yeah, I can just come in and make it. And then you'll come home and it's like a whole new room.
Yeah, we'll do it. We're going to move the bus. Definitely.
So can you guys like envision this, right?
It's going to be incredible. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah. And especially people, maybe they lost a spouse or something or a child in that room and they don't want to be the ones to redecorate. So they can hire you to just come there and do it all. And you just come home one day and it's like, oh.
Yeah, I can be involved then as little or as a lot.
Okay.
It depends, whatever you need in the support, because it's a healing process.
It is, yeah.
It really is healing. Actually, I'm hosting a workshop at a place up by me called Sunstone Sanctuary in November about how to heal your home. So I'm going to do an hour workshop for anybody who wants to come and just listen in and, ask some Q&As about what they can do to change. But so it's important. People really need to realize that their home space is sacred.
It is.
You should treat it as such.
Yes. And then, so before we tell them about your website, I want to show what you made.
Make sure it doesn't get all tangled up.
Oh, it probably is. Okay, is she tangled? She's a little tangled. All right, one sec, guys. We're getting okay. So she made this beautiful.
So I call them daydream catchers, is what I kind of call them, and it's made out of wisteria vine from my property and different crystals. So a lot of times I'll use different crystals for different clients. I custom make a lot of artwork for my clients too, or items to go in their home to just help them on their journey. And so this one was sort of for you to be able to look at and take a moment to reflect and pause in your busy life and just think about where you're going and what all the good things are that are coming in your future.
It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
We're going to hang this in my new room, right?
Yep, that's going to go in the new room.
Oh.
And that'll help to raise your vibration. There's Pachamar crystals on there, smoky quartz, and tiger's eye.
Tiger's eye. And can you tell them what the tiger's eye again? Because I loved that one.
Tiger's eye, it can mean wealth for some people, but it also is a protective stone. So it has a lot of great earth properties to help you really ground in and feel good about what you're doing. And so quartz will vibrate all of the positivity from the stones around it. So
it's so perfect. So yeah, like I said, I mean, this room, like I've kept the door shut for like basically a year, haven't gone in there. I'm like, why am I wasting this one bedroom in my whole house? Yeah. So I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be
all right.
amazing.
So where can they find you?
So I try to post what I'm up to on Instagram. So it's at Highstone & Co, all like one word and spelled out. And then I have a website, www.highstoneandco.com. And that's sort of where I do my main stuff. And I think I may do some more workshops in the future.
I think you should.
So curious to see how this one goes and see what kind of response I get. And then I'm going to be at the Harvest Fair this weekend. So if there's any other sort of holistic fairs going on, I may do more. I just don't have anything planned just yet.
Okay. So reach out to her if you guys maybe have a fair or something.
Yeah, definitely. Yep, for sure.
Workshop classes. Like I could see this at like our friend Deborah teaches at Omega, right? Yeah. So I could see this being like that kind of a thing.
Yeah. And the place that I'm doing it is this like amazing barn that has been redone. And there's a yoga studio in there. And the Sunstone Sanctuary is a crystal shop that she's got this amazing space upstairs for all sorts of different workshops and classes. And like when you walk in there, it's just the energy is incredible. Yeah. And so I'm just excited to hang out in there for a little bit.
Oh, I love that. All right, perfect. So one more time, if you can say into the mic your website so they can find you.
Website is www.highstoneandco.com, and the and is spelled out and it's just CO at the end. And the reason why I call it and co is because I always will reach out to the community that, if I'm within and I want someone to have a special crystal picking experience, I will send them to their favorite crystal shop to do that specifically. I'll call the shop, explain to them what we're doing. And so the and co means like in community, like who can I send you to that's an expert in this? So I want to always bring people in to help raise everyone up.
Oh, I love that you explained that because I totally thought it was and company, but you just didn't want to spell a company. I'm like, okay.
No, it's then, it's like, and whoever basically is going to help out on this. So sometimes if a project is something above my wheelhouse, and I'm going to bring in an expert to ask all the questions or even like a Reiki master, like something like that. So that's the and co, or somebody who might be able to build a custom piece of furniture.
Or my custom library bookshelf.
That's right. Exactly. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, yes. And thank you everyone for listening and watching. And remember, happiness is a choice. So choose a happy day.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening. To stay connected to me, please visit my website at chooseahappyday.com. And at the bottom, just sign up for my email list to be notified of any upcoming events, book launches, as well as new podcasts. Until next time, have a happy day.